right, ladies and gentlemen, the day is finally here. I get a chance to get the first impressions of a Tesla Model S Plaid. Okay, so I tried to time this right, so by the time you're watching this, I would have already had enough time to be able to follow this video up quickly with a more full, in-depth, thorough review. But right now, all I'm doing is giving you my first impressions, my first thoughts, initial impressions, just by seeing the car, driving the car, getting inside the car, and just giving my first thoughts, okay? So quick walk around the vehicle, very nicely done, especially all in black, of course, black Tesla. All the blacked out trim, it looks great. The car does look noticeably wider than it was before. It also looks a little bit lower to the ground as well. Wheels look good. I still prefer the lighter, or excuse me, thinner lip of the previous Arachnids, but these are pretty good. These are pretty good nonetheless, okay? The car overall looks very similar to what we've already seen in terms of the Model S. Nothing new there. But overall, it's just a really good stance, really aggressive look. And I like the look of it. Rear diffuser looks more aggressive, which is my problem with the sort of initial refresh, which was the fact that the diffuser didn't look as aggressive as I thought it would in the legacy version, the 2012 to 2014 model version, okay? Coming all the way around, lights and everything are pretty much all the same. I'll talk about that in my more in-depth review, but just now, initial impressions, initial thoughts, looks really, really nice. The spoilers there, the black brake calipers, which is actually a funny spec, the way that we actually spec'd our initial P85. We actually declined the red calipers and went for the black calipers. And then we got basically the red calipers on the follow-up with the P100D. So this is a really stealthy look, really stealth finish. Definitely like it. All right, pulling up to the door. Gonna go ahead and push the door handle. Comes out nice and quiet. The motor's still a little bit loud, but you know, not too bad. Opening the door seems really, really solid. Really, really solid. I see that double glazing of the windows here, the Tesla glass. I see the double glazings here. You'll start to see that you have that double glazing of the window, which improves sound dampening and sound improvement, so that's also good. The door panel itself looks pretty solid. Okay, looks pretty solid. And then just getting inside the cabin, looking inside the cabin, looks really nice, really clean, really plush. Just like the renders, just like you've already seen by now. All right, got ourselves situated in the car. It feels good so far. So far, I've got everything adjusted the way I need it to be in terms of mirrors and steering wheel or steering yoke, as I think I might like it. But we'll take it out for a drive and see how it actually works. Right now, it feels okay. It feels good in my hand. It's a little bit wider and flatter as opposed to being rounded around these areas right here, so which makes it feels a little bit better in your hand, more like a video game controller. And then the bottom is also flat as well. So flat and wide as opposed to round and wide. In pictures, it could seem like it's rounder here. It's actually flatter. You could actually put something here and rest it here on the inside. But so far it's feeling good. It's feeling pretty solid. What I'm also noticing right now is, again, how close my thumbs are to the buttons. So I'm glad I had the practice. So if you watched the video that we posted before this one, which was basically how to train and prepare for the yoke, you'll be in good condition for that. Again, just keeping your thumbs to the side, not wanting to rest them in the nooks here, because that's going to cause you to hit one of these buttons. All right. The touchscreen is pretty much straightforward. I'm going to talk about that in my more detailed review. But for now, it's just rock solid the way it is right now. I can touch everything. I can hit everything. And just for those who are watching and those who don't know, this is not version 11 as of the recording of this video. This is sort of a hybrid, a little bit of version 11, a little bit of things that they were going to include with version 11, but it's actually still version 10, and as indicated by the actual software number, version 10. But color icons here, which is a departure from everything else. And as you can see from this particular view, which is my view, some of the buttons are blocked, like people are mentioning in the different reviews that are out there. These buttons are blocked. The menu button is blocked, so you really can't get to that. You have to kind of know where it is in order to get to it. And some of these other buttons could also be blocked, right? So I have my phone and other things up here that I really can't see from right here because the yoke is blocking it. So it's wider, it's a little more angular, more rectangular than I would assume, but it still feels good right here. So within this radius, I feel really good. When it comes to turning, we'll see what that looks like. Again, just using some of my tutorials to prepare yourself. All right. This is the auto shift out of park. I hear a lot of people saying it's just auto shifting. It's going to guess where you want to go. It's going to guess where you want to go out of park. Once you're out of park and you're driving, you have to do everything else yourself, swiping up and down on the side of the screen, so on and so forth. All right, so let's take it for a spin. Let's go down Devil's Backbone, as that's a good test just to see how it's going to feel and how it's going to handle in the road. I have sports suspension on, sports steering on, And then I have Plaid on, but I'm not going to go too heavy on Plaid. I'm just going to really focus on the driving characteristics of the Model S. So this is universal for whether you have a Model S Plaid or just a standard Model S. All right, so I'll go ahead and put it into here, and I'll swipe up, okay? And then from here, I'll start to slowly pull out, making sure no one's coming. Super quiet, super quiet. Okay, so far so good. It really feels good steering like this, but I have a hunch that it's going to be a little bit of a muscle memory game when it comes to making turns, whether they're slight turns or sharp turns. So slight turns, it feels all right so far so good. I like it. And again, the darkness or the contrast on the screen, although very smooth and very buttery in terms of this instrument panel, is a little dark. So lots of reflections are being cast, lots of glare, depending on where you're sitting and what your seating position is. All right, very, very quiet. Regen is pretty strong and pretty standard, and I don't think they even have an option to turn the regen down like they used to. I think it's just standard on hold. So when you let your foot off the brake, maximum regen, and then it goes to a complete stop using the motors to come to a complete stop. So far, so good. So far, so good. The overall feel of the cabin now that I'm driving, it does feel a little tighter. Now, maybe because of the sound dampening that they've done, it feels a little tighter inside. It still feels comfortable, still feels like the wide Model S of old, which is again wider than the Model 3 and Model Y, but it still feels a little tight. The clearance between the windshield and heat in the dashboard seems a little tighter. Maybe they raised this up a little bit and that's causing me to have that perception. Okay, so sharp turn coming up right here. Sharp curve, let's see how I handle this. Again, using my training, coming from the bottom as opposed to the top and just rotating. Okay, so far so good. Power is there immediately, which feels good. But again, I'm just rattled right now by how eerily quiet it is. I can't overstate that. It's so quiet in here compared to previous Model S's, Model 3s, and Model Ys even as well, and the Model X. This is the quietest I've ever been in a Tesla that didn't have any additional work done. Straight out the factory. Again, making this turn, a little bit of a cross-hand maneuver here. I'm letting go, holding with just the right. Still feels comfortable, but I just need to work on the muscle memory here. I need to work on the muscle memory. Turn signals, here's where I have to press. And I'm gonna press here and look. And then go. Not too bad. Press again. Again, that screen is really, really dark. Really dark. It's hard to see at certain angles, certain viewpoints, depending on how bright it is outside. That's a really loud truck. It didn't really sound that loud driving past it. Make this turn here. Again, coming from the bottom, being conscious there's no top. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It really isn't that bad. It's pretty rock solid. It just takes some getting used to and takes some unlearning the wheel and learning the yoke. As I start to hold this wheel a little longer, I can start to feel a little bit more muscle than I would need to hold the wheel. I'm gonna try to hold it this way a little bit and see if that relaxes me a little bit. Okay. A little bit of an opening here. I'll give it some juice and see what happens. Wow, immediate. It's immediate. Immediate acceleration, right when you need it. It's smooth too, it's composed. This is something I said about the P100D, was that it was a composed acceleration. This one is also composed. It's smooth, it's composed. It's not violent and scary like you're gonna lose control. It is just composed and smooth. But again, we're just used to driving the performance variant, so that might just be us. Anyone else, it might be a shock to you. If you're coming from a 3 or a Y or some other type of car that's not a Tesla, it might be an extreme shock to you to see how fast it's going. But for me, it just seems very smooth and composed right now. Again, in Plaid, about 68% battery. Didn't really floor it or do anything. I just gave it a little bit of juice, and that's kind of what we got. I can do it with one hand, I can do it with two hands, etc. It really doesn't matter. It just seems really, really comfortable like this or like this. Again, just a little bit of very fast, very quick, amazing, amazing. We've seen some pretty incredible reactions so far. I'm not gonna do all of that. I'm just gonna say, hey, it's pretty amazing, substantially faster than the P100D, especially at the top end. It seems as it keeps pulling. That seems to be the sentiment that we hear around all the people who've driven it. But for me, just the initial thoughts was just that, wow, it's pretty fast, but again, controlled and composed. Turn signal's definitely gonna get used to. All right, now I'll give it a little bit of a stronger launch and see what happens. Wow, yes, it does take your breath away. It does take your breath away. Holy moly donut shop.
Say it with me, guys. Holy moly donut shop.
It does take your breath away. It does push you back. So if thinking about the evolution of the Model S, P85 sort of pushed you back into the seat. P85D, P90D pushed you back in the seat, and you could feel it in your cheekbones. Okay? Me reaching for a stalk, it's not there. But P100D and Raven pushed you back into your seat, and you felt it in your cheekbones, and your head started to hurt a little bit. This one, without even doing the complete launch, which we'll do in just a minute, feels like it's your face, your cheeks are pulling back, almost like a roller coaster. So your cheeks are kind of pulling back, depending on how much, meat you have on your face. It feels like your cheeks are getting pulled back. Your eyes, you feel it in your eyes, you feel it. It's a whole body experience, and I'm sure that's going to be the case for anyone in the passenger seats as well. But man, I can't believe how quiet this car is. It's super quiet, super composed, and I can see some hesitancy on turns as we go, and I can see some hesitancy on the turns, making sure that you have a good handle on the wheel before you make a quick turning maneuver. Not an invasive maneuver like this. That's a good maneuver that you can make with both hands on the wheel. And I kind of see the use of the yoke or the value of the yoke here, and that with this much power, you have to have both hands on the wheel, or you could lose control really quickly, and it can get really gnarly. It's just instant, and it just keeps going. The further I put my foot on the pedal, the faster it goes, the harder it pulls. Okay, so when you have a Tesla, when you actually press it from a standstill, or if you're just coasting at a few miles an hour and you just stab it, you slam your foot down, you'll feel that immediate pull, that hook of the traction of the wheels and the engine, the motor powering up and pushing you. You'll feel that. With this one, you're feeling it at many more versions of that above the speed you're going. And that's really, I think, the difference here between the Plaid and any other variant of Tesla. You won't feel that in the P100D or the Raven, Model S Performance Raven, past 60 miles an hour. All right, so take your foot off the pedal, comes to a complete stop, goes into hold mode. Visualizations are there, but as you see, again, it's good to see because we're in a shaded area. There's trees over us, but in a more sunny area, a brighter area, you could see how it could be a problem with the reflections and with the glare that you get off the screen. This screen is just fine. Nothing's really wrong with that one. And I'm just happy to have these full screen maps. Really good. It takes a little bit getting used to from having the vertical orientation to the horizontal orientation, but shouldn't be a problem as long as I can see the vast majority of the map and not being sort of occupied by the visualization like you have in the Model 3 and Model Y. I'm a happy camper. But otherwise, the controls here are pretty good. Again, we'll talk about the screen in more detail in another video. But everything is just rock solid. I'm super happy with the build quality of this one. I hope they continue to refine it and make it better over time. We're typically not ones to get first run vehicles from Tesla because they have some learnings that they have to do in the beginning to get it right. But this was an exception. We typically would get the end of life versions because those are going to be the best versions when they're just about to discontinue something, or they already have discontinued something, like the P85 before the P85D came out, and then the P100D before the Performance Raven came out. Those are typically the best versions of the Tesla vehicles because they have so much time to refine it, and they've reached a point where they're going to move on to the next build of it. So that's typically what we would wind up doing. So for us to get one of these cars is a bit of a rarity in that regard, because we wouldn't get something a little bit later, something more refined, because they are still making refinements. There may be some fitment issues, some finish issues, things like that. But so far, this is looking leaps and bounds above any other Tesla that we've seen, and it just takes some getting used to in terms of the nuances of the new things that are there. Again, turns are here. It may look a little awkward, but it's not that bad. Obviously, Elon is a Knight Rider fan, as are we, with our car being named Kit. And this is exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to bring to life what Knight Rider and Michael Knight and those people who created that franchise have built. And this is, again, exactly what this looks like. All right, so just trying to find a good point to rest my hands and just get familiar with it. Overall, the soft touch materials on the door handles and on the armrests are there, but if you have any heavy elbows, sharp elbows, I could see you leaving indentations over time, but we'll see what happens. Because this position is really putting a lot of focus on your elbows being rested at a good level. Give a little bit of a pullover here. See if we can't find some leeway to put it into drag strip mode. Immediately the fans start to spin up. Which is great. Still calculating for peak performance. Pull over a little bit more, and then I'll probably pause here and come back when peak performance is ready. So right now it says 2 minutes for peak performance, which is a huge improvement to the last one, which could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 40 minutes to 15 minutes. It really just depends. But the fact that this can get the batteries ready and prepped for a launch within 2 minutes or so, maybe 4 minutes, is pretty impressive. All right, we're ready. It's about 4 minutes, like I said. Got peak performance ready. So we got this going, we got this ready to go. Peak performance is here. I'll put my foot on the brake all the way. Foot on the pedals. Preparing for launch. Lowering, lowering, lowering. Going into cheetah stance. Ready to launch and go. Okay. All right, I'm a believer. I am a believer. Yeah, that is scary. It is a full body experience, yes. Your head, your brain, your eyes, cheeks, everything. It's pretty intense. I didn't go too fast, but it's pretty intense. Okay, this is actually scary with that launch. It's controlled. It does also do the safety mechanism, so if you accidentally press the pedal, it's not gonna do anything crazy. It'll wait a minute to respond. But that launch, wow.
Wow.
That launch was spectacular. That's strong. That's really, really strong. I've driven lots of fast cars. That's really, really strong. The amount of G-forces that your body consumes is really, really strong. Wow. I'm a little bit speechless. No Tesla has ever made me speechless. And yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem that it's accessible to everyone. But yeah, that's the evolution of technology. It's just being able to put this level of performance at an attainable price point for some people, and just making it accessible. So, pretty good. Brakes are good as well. I'm sure the brakes probably could use some upgrading as well. But again, we'll see. We'll see what happens if you take it to a track or something like that. But in terms of everyday driving, doing what you need to do on the roads, on the highways, brakes are pretty good. Acceleration is out of this world. I might have a little bit of a headache right now. If you are prone to any type of medical condition where you can't get on a roller coaster, do not launch in this car. All right? So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it. If you've driven in a Plaid, if you have a Plaid. And again, once again, I want to try to time this video in a way that we're able to give you a more longer term review immediately after you get this video. But let's talk about it in the comments. Until the next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your Tesla, enjoy your Plaid.